One of the main things that concerns all of the tribes is extraction, fossil fuels, and land leases, and the status of federal lands, because our lands are federal lands also. Uh, there's he favors mining, drilling for fossil fuels. I imagine pretty soon, very quickly, there's going to be more permits given out, and there's going to, of course, be opposition and resistance when those mining permits are on indigenous land or federal lands that are occupied by indigenous people. And that's where that's going to affect us, like, directly. It's going to have a direct effect on the lands of the people who are occupied there. But that's just one thing. Standing Rock is one of the reservations in North Dakota. It's part of the Great Sudation Treaty. That land is treaty land. And in 1851, there was a treaty made with the Great Sioux Nation. It had a vast amount of lands that were going to remain intact. The government recognized the Great Sioux Nation as sovereign, and we were going to allow the people coming to go north of us and south of us. But they weren't going to come into the last remaining territories, sovereign territories. Those were treaty lands. And then in 1868, those treaty boundaries were reduced by a lot. And the pipeline was called the Dakota Access Pipeline, and it was going to go through those unceded treaty territories just north of an indigenous community in Standing Rock called Cannonball, North Dakota. So when they put a call out for help, because the Army Corps of Engineers were going to eventually approve this pipeline that goes underneath the Missouri River, many people were very concerned because that water is drinking water for millions of people downstream. And the thing that really shows the apparent discrimination against indigenous people is that 50 miles upstream was a pretty fair sized community, 90% non-indigenous, and that pipeline was originally drawn and designed to go just north of that city, because it was a straight line that made sense to go to the distribution place. And when the city raised concerns and said that we don't want that pipeline here because we're downstream from it and it's dangerous, it's going to contaminate the water, and we don't want that to happen, North Dakota, where it's like indigenous population, indigenous land. And so that didn't sit well with the people at all. First, because it was going underneath the water, and then secondly, because it was right upstream from them. And thirdly, because it's drinking water. People take their drinking water from that all downstream. I'm sure there are several states downstream that utilize that water too. So clean drinking water, that was the issue. We wanted people to have clean drinking water, and we didn't want the pipeline to go under the water. And we didn't want the pipeline to begin with because we want to stop the creation and the support of fossil fuels. The extraction of fossil fuels is causing climate change. It's a huge factor in climate change. And everybody knows, right? I'm sure they've heard of a catastrophe, and the fires, the floods, the weather change. It's affecting everyone now. And so we can't close our eyes to the devastating effects of climate change caused by extraction of fossil fuels. We can't ignore it any longer because it endangers all populations, global populations. Well, one of the most basic things, the elements that we hold true to in all aspects of any threat is that we go back to ceremony. Everything is rooted for us in ceremony, and we have a spiritual duty. We have a spiritual duty um, to protect nature um, and all living things. That's inherent. People talk about moral obligations and treaty obligations, and they're valid. But for us, bottom line, basic, it's in us, inherent in us, is we have a spiritual obligation to protect nature, and to be on the right side. And so I want to say to people who don't have that spiritual connection, that they don't think that they have that connection. Um, they need to. I think they can feel it. A lot of people who are concerned about nature, concerned about drinking water. A lot of them, they know it's morally, wrong to contaminate something that everybody uses. But on a spiritual level, it's like the deepest level of responsibility. So it cannot be ignored. We cannot ignore it. And that means that we're going to use whatever means we can. We're going to use our ceremony. We're going to use our strategies that we're going to have to go through them and define which one works best for which community and which area and which tribe, because we're all facing different elements of threats, different degrees of threats in different areas on different landscapes from different multinationalities. And so my what I am seeing right now happen is that there is a formation right now, like happening between um, the Americas, the indigenous people, from the top of Alaska all the way down to Argentina, understand that we face the same threat. And that, so in that knowledge, there's a common thread of resistance. And in our spirituality, it's not just us, all along the Americas, all of the indigenous people have this spiritual obligation. And non-indigenous people, they stand on moral grounds. And they use that word morality, Um, but I'm not going to use that word moral because I can't, because what's happening is immoral. It is immoral what's happening to the earth. Um, and I can't speak to people who are immoral about morals because it doesn't make any sense. So I would be wasting my time and my words by saying what you're doing is immoral because they don't have morals. So the strategy for one thing can't be that. We can't be saying, "Oh, you're immoral," because that doesn't get you anywhere. But what we can do is recognize what's right and what works. So we need to go, start depending upon our own actions. Do we overconsume? Yes. Do we depend upon economy that's not good for the environment? Yes. So those are two things individuals can do, is stop depending upon a system that's false and based on consumerism and capitalism, and it keeps on going on, and patriarchy supports it. Governments support it because governments support the people who have businesses. It's just like this big industry, big industry. It's been generational now, and it's reaching its peak, where people are now multi-billionaires and pretty soon trillionaires. Meanwhile, the people who are supporting it really need to wake up and stop supporting it, stop supporting their own economy, because we are more than they. We are more than they. And together, when we change our habits, we can't support that system that's overruling us. Literally step away from that system and creating our own sovereign economies and our own sovereign system. And it it's what sustained the world for thousands and thousands of years before capitalism came. Thousands of years. And so this system, this economic system, um, we need to build it. We need to remember it, rebuild it, and we need to, if it's there already, we need to expand it and share it with others. Because I want to be part of that system. I'm ready to let go of that the system that doesn't, that is keeping us almost like mm, keeping us enslaved. Yesterday, on February 4th, across the nation, we had all of the people stop, not shopping, but stop working at their job, to show just how much of a change it would make in our economy when people of color go to work, what it would look like. And when we work for ourselves, that's part of our sovereignty. That's part of the strategy was when we work for ourselves. Because then we'll recognize each other. We actually will have value for each other. When you value something, you don't harm it. So if someone wants to ask what a strategy is, they have no strategy at all. I would say take out a piece of paper and write down your values. What is the most important thing for you to survive? Is it air? Is it water? Is it land? Um, what is it? What are the very basics? Because that's the basics for me is I need a place to, I need these homelands to be safe, but I also need to breathe air and I need to clean drink water too. So those very basic needs are being threatened. And that's what people need to realize. They need to value what's necessary for all life. Value the people, that are part of the solution. And I want to tell you that everyone is part of the solution and that we really do need to unite, not just on a spiritual level and not on a resistance level, but on a human that recognizes our value. Because if you value something, you don't hurt it. You don't cause harm to it. And we need to recognize what's real, and what's a system. Because what's real is what we're walking on. What's real is the people that we, talk with, we have community with, that are our family. That's real, and that's within our reach, within our ability to help, to change, to foster, to nurture, to strengthen, to lead, to guide, to belong to. So you don't have to belong to a huge network. Your network just needs to belong to the network next to it. And all of these small communities can be connected to a worldwide community when we all have the same value for life, for water, for air, for freedom, for independence. And there are so many people who know this. So many people know this already. I'm probably the last person to say this, but I value humanity. I value our energy and our power. And when we unite that power and we recognize and and we start seeing clearly what it is that powers a community, what makes a community safe, and what threatens a community, then we'll be on the same page. Because I don't think people understand what the threat is. You know, if you focus on something that's bad and all you say is, "Oh, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad," that doesn't change anything. But what you can say is that, you know what, I see the good that we need to do here in our community, and I see that a threat is coming, and I understand that I'm just one person, but together we're like 400 in our community. 400 people is a lot more powerful than one. 4 people is more powerful than one. And so people don't realize that all of the numbers are in our favor. So you have to change your perspective when you recognize yourself as part of the whole, because the whole of humanity is humongous, and it's bigger than the system. It's bigger than the people running the system. And I don't know. Um, we have ceremony, we pray, we get our answers, and we follow that. We follow that the directions that we're given. We have faith, and we have people. We have, love and compassion, not just for ourselves but for nature. Yeah, you're very welcome. I wish you all the best. I really want the best for all people, in all communities. Value yourself, recognize yourself, embrace each other, empower each other, because you are so, so valuable, so powerful. I want to add something about value. Is like the reason why there's so much violence in this world is because we don't value, the person that's being persecuted. And we need to value human life, because when we value one human life, we value all human life. And if we can do that, we can stop the violence. And that's really important, that the violence against and in between us stop. It needs to stop. And we do need to value all humanity. Yeah, actually, just want to give a big shout out to all the people who have stood the ground in the past, and who have in their family members who have given everything, their words and even their life, to ensure that you're free. Because that's our history. We have those people in our life who have given everything to show us what freedom is, and to show us that everything is within our grasp. We just need to be really clear. We need to see clearly reality, and we need to be cognizant, and we need to be very, and then we can decide what to do.